Yeah, man, Johnny Depp is old as hell.
Johnny Depp is 61, apparently.
Jesus Christ.
And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the After School Cinema Club. I'm Vaughn. Hi. I'm your actor in the group. I'm joined today, as always, by Jose.
Award-nominated actor.
Well, thank you.
Award-nominated actor.
That is exactly what friends are for, I believe, right? If not to share your accolades in the moments where you're awkward and you don't. Yes, my show closed, and we were nominated for Best Two-Person Show. Thank you, Hollywood Fringe. I'm also joined today by Dylan, our resident writer in the group.
And also a viewer of said nominated show.
Yes.
Put that on my resume.
Could you imagine if our resumes were just like the things we saw? How long would your resume be?
We have at least 13 episodes, counting this one, of movies we've seen.
True.
Not including the Oscar episodes where we talk about 10, 12.
Or like the Kung Fu Panda. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this show alone, we've like banked like 40 or probably closer to 60 movies.
Built different.
I'm curious. I'm sure there's some listener out there who has or would like the task of having to go back and listen to every episode and tally how many movies we talk about. Somebody will do it.
When podcasts are big and there's like someone that writes in and they're like, oh, I like yada yada yada. Like, I think that's amazing dedication, but please don't do that with our show. We go on a lot of rants and rambles and
no, please do. It shows dedication.
And I'm kind of leaning over there. Like, show me you love me. No. We have a lot to talk about this week. Couple of headlines first and foremost. We've got we're going to talk about some Sony layoffs and what that means for the Sony company. We'll talk about some Gladiator 2 screenshots. Gladiator 2, I had even no clue that we were getting that later this year, but apparently that's a thing that's happening. We're also going to get a chance to talk about Now You See Me 3 coming soon, as well as some Harry Potter news and its connection to Succession, which if you think about companies that own things probably isn't super surprising, but fun stuff is on its way. And then, of course, we'll talk about the movie of the week. This week we watched Kinds of Kindness, and this was... Whose recommendation was this?
Jose, mine. Do you remember? This was my recommendation.
Cool.
Yeah, so we can talk about my decision later in the pod.
Well, no, I think. Yeah.
Do you want to lead it? Do you want to lead it with the review first, and then have no listeners for the rest of the podcast?
No, I'm good. Let's talk about news. First up, let's talk about these Sony layoffs. 250 employees gone, and I believe they're saying, and this is from the recordable media business. Gosh, Blu-rays are going bye-bye, y'all.
RIP physical media.
So it doesn't seem immediate, which is the only, I guess, like positive note from this. But yeah, so the 250 people they're cutting from is from one of their like manufacturing hubs in Japan. And it's just kind of like thrown in there is just like, oh, hey, eventually they are going to like stop making this, which like to me, I feel like that means that someone is going to have to like buy that, right? Like whether it's Criterion or someone, like because every type of physical media is built on Blu-ray right now. Like the discs you buy for Xbox or PlayStation is built on Blu-ray. Like HD DVD is that failed. Like Microsoft's attempt at that like failed. So it's kind of the only way to make any form of physical media. So I feel like it's going to get like sold off, or maybe that's just cope. I don't know. What do y'all think?
Well, I wanted to, that's where I was thinking too, Dylan, is that I remember when the Xbox One came out, there was a lot of rumors around like whether or not it would have a disc tray because Sony owns the copyright to Blu-ray. And so the way I thought about it was Sony is either asking too much or not making enough off of Blu-ray sales to the point where they can justify cutting some people and cutting back because nobody wants to pay Sony that tax. Especially now when everybody has their own streaming platform and everybody has their own like way to distribute their own content. They don't really rely on Sony as much anymore. I also remember a while ago that Best Buy cut all physical media sales.
Yep.
So how big was Best Buy's investment in Blu-rays in Sony to keep them afloat? To, if everybody's starting to if everybody is starting to stop selling these things, how much money can they really be making?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fair point. I'm curious to know, like, what the like how much space. Think about it, like when you walk into like a Best Buy and that like the Blu-ray aisle used to just take up so much space. Although, granted, I don't know.
Right.
I walked into a Best Buy like a few months ago, just a bizarre land.
Dude, I love
now.
Best Buy.
I loved Best Buy like years ago. Now it's just like it's 75% like refrigerators. It's like a mattress firm. It's like there's no way people are buying appliances this often. I go into the Magnolia section. Be like, oh yeah, like this TV I can't afford.
Yep. Call me weird, but I love walking into a Best Buy. I love shopping in person. And everything's online, but when I want something, I'll do my research online and then I'll go pick it up in the store. I'm not going to order pickup in store. I'm going to go to the store, go find it, go grab it, and then like do the whole shebang. I love doing that at stores, at Best Buy, Target, whatever. But I do miss walking through the DVD section, Blu-ray section, CD section eventually, right? Do they still sell CDs at Best Buy?
They probably sell more vinyls than they sell CDs.
Yeah.
Vinyls. But the vinyl section at Best Buy sucks too.
Probably, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not as good as the vinyl section at Target. Just to compare the two.
Throwing it out there.
And you can get groceries at Target as well. Just saying.
Hey,
but I also
you can get some Skittles and some like M&Ms. Best Buy.
I heard they sell Apple at Best Buy.
Boo, boo, boo,
That's gonna get cut.
Boo.
That's gonna get cut. That's gonna get cut.
I think for me, like I remember, and me and my friend Jordan, we would all often talk about this. Like a part of our ritual on like a Friday of getting paid was you swing by a Best Buy or a Target or whatever store, and you like pick up whatever DVD is on sale, or like you peruse, and like you were building out your physical library so that when people came over, you had a cool collection of stuff to showcase. And now that that collection's all digital, everything's on streaming. I'm still partial to like owning media in some capacity, so I still do like I'll swing over to see what's on sale at iTunes to like purchase a bundle of films or whatever. But yeah, it's initially I was thinking this won't affect a whole lot because everything is digital now anyway, and I mean that's a part of why they're here. But also I do forget that like Sony is responsible for it's not just their company that's getting affected. It's so many other people.
Yeah.
So I think you're right, Dylan, that somebody's got to buy this.
For me too is like it goes a few ways. It's either going to be like a Criterion collection type of thing, or another kind of major company. It's just because like, look, I don't know the financials behind it, but you could upcharge on a Blu-ray and people are going to pay for it. Like the sickos that want physical media might, whatever. If it's $20 right now, if it was 35 instead, most people are still going to buy it. If I want to have this because I'm terrified that one day Apple or whoever is going to snap their fingers and that stuff isn't available for streaming anymore, like I'd pay the extra $15 to be able to have that. Like if I think about it, if I like loved Westworld, I can't watch Westworld. Like something like if it's like the fact that streamers can just like cut out stuff that's on their platforms should be at least a little bit alarming. And it's not like not to get all high and mighty. It should just be an option. It needs to be an option.
I think another point that I often think about, because I do given how large my digital library is now. Yeah, at any point they could just decide to pull the plug on whatever that media is. But also, I wish I could remember which film it is, and y'all might recall. There was some movie, I think, where some character was getting bullied. It wasn't even anything like crazy obscene or anything, but like there was bullying involved in somewhere in the film, and all of the digital like versions of that movie clipped that scene or like changed the
Oh, damn.
language in the scene.
It's like a Star Wars
Yeah,
situation.
and I think it was like a language thing, or like so maybe they weren't like it was something they said that the language got shifted and like edited out. And yeah, like when it's a Blu-ray, that's the hard media, and that doesn't get to get changed. I think about like I small example, but for after school music club, I bought Cowboy Carter, right? So like I have the physical CD, which I've never listened to, but I have it, and the track names are slightly different, and it got updated between the release of the CD and the release of like streaming. And even on streaming, like stuff got updated and changed. Even the Beyonce's first album, there were a couple music notes that changed based on like drama or whatever. And yeah, like we get an updated version via streaming, but sometimes there is something important to the story of the art in having it in some physical media. So yeah, that's gonna suck if there is no outlet or no avenue for that. I don't think it's high and mighty at all, honestly, Dylan.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think those freaks are gonna buy physical media, and I hate calling them freaks, but
I'm one of them, which is why I said it.
I was
Yeah,
just like,
same.
I am
think we all have a
Yeah.
collection.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not a crazy collection, but I'm getting there.
No, me neither. Me neither. I think the only reason why I don't have it here when I moved to SF is because it just takes so much space. Like I went through the effort to collect like a handful of my favorite movies, and I have them in LA. And I think if there was a way to still retain the digital and the physical and pay a little more to kind of combine everything that we're talking about, because I do appreciate that some, not all of the Blu-rays that I have, but some of them come with like that digital code that you could just
Yep.
redeem,
Yeah.
right? And so that came in clutch when I wanted to watch, funny enough, Back to the Future here in SF, because I couldn't find it on streaming and I wasn't going to pay like $25 for it because I already owned it back in LA. And I remember that movie had like a digital code. And I wonder, again, going back to whether or not you own that code, if like that streaming service just like disappears, because I think it's like owned by Universal, who owns like
Probably.
the like if they just decide to cut it, am I just screwed?
Because like technically all that it's a digital key essentially. Like it's just you saying like, oh, it's a ticket. Like, oh, hey, I bought this, and like now can I get it? But then
Yeah.
eventually, if that door closes, you're just no one's home.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You gotta go out your way to buy a Blu-ray player or console, $500-$600 console.
Yeah, I was like looking on Wirecutter for like
Just
what
to-
a
well, maybe.
like
those
a
freaks are
Blu-ray
out there.
player, like the top of the line Blu-ray player. You're looking at like $200-$400 for just like which I guess makes sense, but it's just like I could not believe that that's how much one of these guys costs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's top of the line. You can probably get a used one or a cheap one for
Yeah.
maybe around $100-$200, but you could also get like a PS5 or an Xbox or
Yeah.
even last gen versions or even the gen before. Like I think the PS4,
Get a PS3,
PS3.
not a 360
or
though.
PS3, yeah,
Yeah.
the PS3 will be able to do Blu-ray.
I think with the whole supply and demand of everything, that'll also affect it. I was I was chatting with some friends the other day about the board game Crossfire, if y'all remember that. And Dylan, you are maybe the only one who would. Wait, Jose, for real?
Yeah,
No,
Crossfire,
but I was like a
and then
big-
they do the yeah.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
keep talking while I look this up.
So the theme song, please don't sue us. They're like, Crossfire, you get caught up in love.
Oh my God.
Crossfire."
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was.
And it was
This is like a
just-
memory hole. Whoa, that's crazy. Okay, sorry.
It's like
Sorry for cutting you
pellets and spinners.
off. Yeah.
But point is, we were like talking about just how ridiculous theme songs and like catch like all those songs and things were. And somebody looked up how much it costs to get the board game Crossfire today. It's $90 on
That's
Amazon.
awesome.
Holy
It could
shit.
not have been more than like 10 or 15
Well,
at the time.
That's like, I don't know if you know about like the NCAA football video games. So like on Xbox 360, it was in 2013, was the last college football video game that was made.
wow.
Because of like a lawsuit, college players not
Oh,
getting paid for
right.
their likeness, yada yada. Funny enough, 2 weeks from now, the first time in 10 years, the game's coming out. But like during the pandemic, like 'cause so many people were like playing video games and stuff, it was like $175 to buy this game. Because it was like you can't buy it online, and like they don't make it, so it was just like people that
Yeah.
still had it. Yeah, it's nuts. That's what's going to happen to your favorite movies when the streaming services collapse. Just remember that, people. Be flipping copies of Dune.
Incredible. So we also have, now that we've spent so much time talking about old media and somehow surviving, maybe we'll see. Let's talk about some old projects that are coming back. Gladiator 2 screenshots. Fellas, have y'all had a chance to look at these screenshots?
I have, and they are incredible.
We have, I love the cover photo. This is over on Vanity Fair we're looking at. Photo of Paul Mescal and Pedro Pascal. Just going for it. Absolutely going for it. Pedro Pascal, and this is, I think, why the conversation hopped in at the top of the show, is 50, apparently.
He's 49.
And that's not okay with some of us.
Oh, he's 49. Okay.
49, 50, same thing.
Basically,
once you get up
50.
there, yeah.
Once you get up there.
I'm going to clip this for 20 years from now when you're 49, and 10 years when Bond's 49, and
I'm
just
not
kidding.
49 in 10 years.
Yeah,
please.
I know. Yes, I'm
It's
just
13.
Yeah, it's 5 years. Yeah, it's okay.
Give me my
It's 5 years.
And you know what? You won't be able to tell the difference because I'm still going to look like
Absolutely.
this. So there.
Yeah,
100%.
Botox is a thing.
there.
Hollywood. I know the point you're actually trying to make. I'm just fucking with you.
Speaking of black people looking incredible, Denzel Washington is in this film.
And looking
He looks great.
unbelievable.
Amazing.
Unbelievable.
Caesar's looking clean too.
So I looked I was actually kind of almost like hoping he was going to be Caesar. But it seems like that's not the role that he's playing. I don't really even want to get into it all too much. Also in the photos,
I was more
who
so
Caesar
referring
is.
to his haircut, which got its name from Julius Caesar. So it's
Yeah.
like a bit of a cyclical moment. But I feel like lately, Denzel Washington, he had just been looking like variations on like the one black uncle that everybody black has. And so there's like the black uncle who knows how to fix a car with nothing but like a bottle of Coke and a cigarette. And then there's like the black uncle who doesn't quite remember you and like calls your girlfriend the wrong name of like, your partner 2 partners ago. He's had these like, he's been looking weird. He's
been looking like a dad.
Is he dead?
John David Washington.
Really? Wait, is this
Tenet,
news right now for you?
Black Klansman.
Ballers.
Oh, yes. It is news to me. I didn't make the connection.
Yeah. They've done a
Common last name.
decent enough job of like not really like you wouldn't really know if you're not like
Yeah, there was a supercharged interview with him like when he first kind of was like hitting the scene, and they were talking about like his connection to his father and like the acting background. He was like, yeah, and my mother Pauletta too.
Yeah.
Like it's like, yeah, you got to remember there was a time when Pauletta Washington was actually footing the bill.
Yeah.
Denzel's really only been in Equalizer recently, right? Like he's just been
Macbeth.
turning up. Like,
Oh yeah,
He was in
the Scottish
Macbeth.
play. He was really good in it too.
He was good, but like he hasn't done a ton of stuff recently, and it seems like I can't think of the last time he's really been like supporting.
Yeah. I'll also say I know he's been spending a lot of time behind the scenes because he made the commitment to film the entirety of August Wilson's Pittsburgh cycle. So when you think about like Fences was the first one with him and Viola Davis. Uh, then we also got Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and I want to say did we get a third already? Those two for sure. Yeah, but he's committing to trying to film all of the Pittsburgh cycle.
I'm be honest. I don't know what any of that means.
August Wilson, famous black playwright, who has 10 plays. It is like it's peak black theater essentially. And August Wilson passed away in 2001, I want to say. And Denzel Washington, he did not originate the role that he played in the movie Fences. James Earl Jones did, but he was in a revival of it. And he's close to the work. It matters to him a lot. Same thing with Viola Davis did originate a couple of roles of August Wilson's. I know some people who have also like actors that I've worked with that are incredible who have like worked with August Wilson. So I feel like I'm close to the source in that way. But it's if you talk to two black actors and they don't know about and neither one of them knows about August Wilson, they're probably very very green, and that's okay. But he's a big name in the theater scene, and Denzel Washington wants to get that message out and get those stories out to the greater world. And it's called the Pittsburgh Cycle because it's covering a different decade in the city of Pittsburgh across the 1900s.
Damn.
And that was the After School Theater Club, which I could 100% head up. Anyway, yeah, these shots of Gladiator 2 are looking incredible. I love that I'm seeing folks like Joseph Quinn in here looking incredible as Emperor Karakaya. Took a shot at the name. And looks like it's going to be another.
Yeah, something like that.
Caracalla. Yeah, I'll take. Yeah, and that's probably makes more sense because why would it be a? Yeah.
Oh, I mean, what's his name was Spanish in the first movie, yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen Gladiator. It was one of my dad's favorite movies, but it's been a minute.
They called him the Spaniard because, like, spoilers for the first 30 minutes of Gladiator, like when he gets like dethroned, he like winds up in Spain, but I don't know if he was like also a Spanish general in the Roman Empire. Yeah. So I don't know.
No say.
Yeah.
What are the odds they? What are the odds they mention biggest dickus?
Huh?
No. Is it Life of Caesar? No. Monty Python?
Oh.
No.
No. Monty Python's a bit of a blind
Mr.
spot
Anglophile?
for me. I know.
Mr. Anglophile?
Wow.
I
know. 'Tis but a flesh wound. That's all I got.
It's Life of Brian. My bad. Not Life of Caesar. Life of Brian.
Wow.
Anyway.
There it is.
Anyway,
you said Life of Caesar, and I thought about Planet of the Apes. What is he up to now?
Planet of the Apes on my mind.
Anyway, Caesar's got a friend in Rome named Biggest Dickus. It's a joke.
And don't we
all?
Awesome.
That's awesome.
I want to bounce over to another sequel, and this is like it's franchise city over here, and probably will be in Hollywood for a while until people can trust some new IP. But Now You See Me 3, dropping in theaters November 14th, 2025, allegedly. Did y'all see the first two? Are y'all excited about this one?
So I saw the first one, and I really enjoyed it. I don't think I have watched it, and maybe you could tell me that it's been 10 years. I don't know when the first Now You See Me came out, but I
think that's right, actually.
Yeah, like it's probably been a really long time since like I would catch it on like an HBO rerun or something like that, back when you would like channel flip in the before times. But
channel, what's a channel?
Yeah, I know.
Like a YouTube channel?
But I'm for it, man. Like especially like if they're able to get like most of this cast back together too, like I think that would be really cool. So I'm all for it.
I
Jose?
have seen both of the Now You See Me's. I think Now You See Me 1 is probably a bit more uh, solid than Now You See Me 2. Um, Spoilers for Now You See Me 1, but I like the scene where he stops the rain, and then he flips back, and then he disappears. Um, but just bring back the heist movie, like Dylan was saying from the before times. We don't have enough, and maybe we'll get to it, but we don't have a lot of specific movies anymore. Like we don't have weird movies. Minor spoiler for Kinds of Kindness. We don't have heist movies. Um, we don't have comedies anymore. But Now You See Me.
Yeah.
Now You See. I remember there was a bit of discourse because they didn't call it like Now You Don't, because it was like Now You See Me, Now You Don't. But
For Now You See Me Too?
For Now You See Me Too, yeah. But people
Now You
were
Don't
like,
This is
"Oh,
the first time I'm hearing
tough name. That's great.
But audiences wouldn't understand that it was a
Yeah.
sequel to Now You See Me.
And then what would you call this one if we did go with that naming?
Now You Do.
convention? Right. Psych, just kidding.
Check behind your ear. Whoa.
Pull my finger.
Well, anyway, yeah, the only other time you really see it is like it's like Ocean's like 8, Ocean's 9, Ocean's 10, Ocean's 11 is like that's the only time that you'll sometimes see those kinds of like weird naming. You even saw it with like Bad Boys, like Bad Boys 3 being called Bad Boys for Life.
Bad Boys for Life.
Instead of that just
Don't
being
give me
like
that
what
so
Bad Boys
much.
4 could have been called instead. It's just like the having to name things, super, I don't know, on brand instead of just like playing with the titles that like you see Bad Boys or other movies do.
Yeah. I did see both as well. I agree with you, Jose. I think the first one's a bit tighter. They really went for the antics, I feel like, in the second film. What's curious to me is, if I'm not mistaken, all the characters we're seeing in this, like, and this was just, on, I refuse to call it the other thing, on Twitter, these are all people who were featured in the first film
Mm-hmm.
and not the second.
Well, I don't really remember who was in the second one. I know there is behind the scenes controversy with the woman. I forget who.
Isla
it was.
Fisher?
Yeah, because she was in the first one and then she didn't come back in the second one. And
She's listed on IMDb for the third one.
maybe she's coming back. Maybe they figured it out behind the scenes.
Yeah,
The Hatch, yeah.
it looks like Morgan Freeman, Rosamund Pike, Woody Harrelson, Ariana Greenblatt, and for those who don't know who that is, she played the daughter in Barbie, amongst other roles. But that's like kind of the thing that I think most people would recognize her from.
She was also, for my comic nerds who maybe didn't see Barbie for whatever weird reason, she played young Gamora
Yes,
in Infinity War.
Oh wow!
I think she also is like the live action kid version of Ahsoka. I might be getting that mixed up with another kid
No,
actor.
that's correct.
Okay,
I can see that.
Or was that Daphne Keane?
No idea. There's no way to get this information.
It's not like we have the internet at our fingertips.
Literally
Isla
don't.
Fisher, who
Sorry.
just forever for me is is from Wedding Crashers, is like Vince Vaughn's love interest. Mark Ruffalo, Jesse Eisenberg, Dave Franco, Justice Smith.
Good for he will find his way into a project.
yeah.
I'll tell you.
I recognize his face. I don't really know. Is he the guy from Detective Pikachu?
Yes, I was going to say he was the lead in Detective Pikachu.
And Dominic Sessa, which is a name that I know. Oh, it's the kid from The Holdovers. Good for him.
Oh wow!
Oh, nice. So I'm excited.
I don't remember.
I want to see more antics. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say I don't remember. Fucking. Oh my god. Alfred being that big in the second one, because it wasn't.
I don't think he's in the second one at all because they spoilers for the first one.
Oh.
Yeah, bad.
Yeah, and Morgan Freeman and spoilers for the second one, but Woody Harrelson plays his twin brother. And so I think those two are the bad guys, right? In the second one.
It's been so long.
Spoilers.
I said spoilers.
I can't mute. What am I gonna do? Break my
Take
computer
your
in half?
earpods out.
Just rip them out.
Yeah.
And then we'll give you the thumbs up for when you can come back. I am excited, especially I think if they can give us more like relevant story points from the first, but just as high stakes antics in the second. Like we were chatting briefly before we hopped on, but the scene in the second, slight spoilers, I guess, where they're trying to pass. They're trying to pass a thing between each other and not like let the guards catch them moving this thing around. It's like a crazy long sequence and completely ridiculous. Like everything has to go exactly right. There's exactly one universe where this can happen, and like it's so outrageous, but it's a lot of fun to watch. More of those things and keep it grounded.
I would like to see the Google Trends graph with like Now You See Me trending and then magic tricks like trending right behind it. Because I know from experience, I tried to pick up sleight of hand after this movie.
It's a great skill to have for only noble reasons. I promise. Even I just want to learn how to do the coin thing. Like,
oh yeah, the coin thing. Hey,
thing.
yo, Game of Thrones spoilers. When the guy does the coin thing on the table, oof, made me want to pick that up again.
Right? And it's the smallest spoiler for Game of Thrones. Or House of the Dragon.
House of Dragons.
House of Dragons. I never. Which one? It's one of them is the official title.
Dragonstone.
And speaking of dragons, Harry Potter. We have a new Harry Potter series with Mark Mylod, who's going to be directing a bunch of episodes. And actually, this is the perfect transition because if you are deep into nerd lore around fantasy stuff, you'll know that Mark Mylod directed quite a few episodes of Game of Thrones. Specifically, quite a few battle episodes. I believe Battle of the Bastards he directed. Pretty much any high stakes battle episode he was at the helm for. And looks like they have Francesca Gardner as showrunner as well.
Yeah, Mark Mylod has also directed. I don't know for certain if he's the battle guy, just because I only know that like the last name of that guy is like Chapuznik or something, and I don't know why that name just always like sticks out to me. But
sure, I mean, yeah.
But he's definitely directed Game of Thrones episodes. But what I know him for is he has basically done every like the second to last episode and last episode of all 4 seasons of Succession, as well as like normally whatever the major event episode is of the season as well. So like without saying what happens, like he did Connor's wedding in the last season of Succession. If
that was the episode on the yacht, right?
Yes. And just like, so there's like, he's done a lot of the episodes in which like really, really tense.
My chest just got tight.
Like crazy kind of things happen. And I think it's very like the style of Succession. I don't know how that's going to translate to a Harry Potter show. I would love if it's that fast paced and like, everything like that. I don't really think that's what's going to happen, but I'm for it. The Euphoriacation of Harry Potter. But whatever that guy's name is that writes Euphoria, bring him in. But I'm all for it.
Sam Levinson?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So my question is, since you bring that up, who is this for? And I think the intended audience is always an important question, obviously, but what exactly are we doing?
The shareholders.
It's gotta be for older. I mean, by like older, I mean like audiences members in their 20s and 30s and like maybe early 40s, right? Like
the folks who read the books as they came out.
Yeah.
Sort of?
Like and Jose, it's not like you're like
the film when they came out.
It's not like you're crazy younger than us, but like, did you give a shit about Harry Potter?
No.
Yeah,
There it
that's
is.
what I mean. Like, I think it's like,
So no, because I was too young when a lot of that hype was coming
yeah,
around. But I did go see Deathly Hollows 1 and 2 in theaters. I do remember
with no
seeing both of
context.
them. Nope, no context. I
What?
Yeah, I think I saw. Honestly,
That's a sin, I'm pretty sure. What?
I think I jumped into Deathly
Because then you
Hallows
went back.
2.
Like, you saw Deathly Hallows 1 and then went back and was like, I got to see how this ends with no context of how any of it started.
I think so. I
Great.
think so. I don't
Awesome.
I
You were
don't vividly
unhinged.
remember Deathly Hallows 1, but I remember like getting friends together and watching Deathly Hallows 2, and I don't think any of us give a shit about Harry Potter.
Yeah, I mean, I believe like if you're like under 25, and Jose, like I think you're like right just above that.
26.
Spoilers, I'm outing your age. But
I'm
We've
apparently
outed it
I'm
before.
10 years older than
Yeah.
Vaughn, bringing that back up.
There's a 10-year gap between us.
but yeah, like you might not really give a shit. Like if you weren't there for the like books and movie hype, like, and I was at the tail end of that. Like I was too young to read the first like 2 or 3 books. But
I
old
was
enough to see the
Harry's
movies.
age when the books were
That's
coming
awesome.
out. So like I was
That's
11
awesome.
when the first Harry Potter came out. This is for me.
Yeah.
100%. Well, not me exactly, because Christian household, so at a certain time I wasn't allowed to read Harry Potter at all. But like I literally, honestly, I read the first 4 books and then I saw the first 4 movies. I didn't complete my Harry Potter journey until, no joke, 9 months ago. Like last October, I was visiting my friends. Shout out to Mimi and Jay over in the UK, and I mentioned to them that I hadn't done it, and it was like Halloween time. I'm in the UK. It just made sense to finish the journey, and they're big Harry Potter fans.
So
So
you hadn't
we
seen
watched
the last
the rest of it.
movies, or you hadn't read the last books?
I had no clue how the story ended until
What
9
the
months ago.
How did
That's
you avoid all the
crazy.
spoilers?
There's so much stuff out, and honestly, when it came out, I was deep in my like theater artist bag of like I didn't have a TV for a couple years. I didn't play games for a couple years. I was just like so hungry about like in my head playing catch up as an actor, and just like I was in rehearsal all the time, or like studying all the time, or going to see shows all the time. And people would think, "Oh, we're gonna go see Deathly Hollows in theaters." I'm like, "Great, have fun. Don't
You're
tell
in
me
your
what
Whiplash
happens."
era.
Yes.
So I want to ask y'all this question now that you finished it, Vaughn. Because you mentioned you saw it during Halloween. So is a Harry Potter a Halloween time movie or a Christmas time movie? Because for me, I think they're Christmas movies. I think you throw these on during Christmas time and you just like either binge them or just like have them on in the background.
I think
mean,
it's like The Nightmare Before Christmas. It's like anything between mid October and December 25th is game.
but you're not going to play Nightmare Before Christmas during Thanksgiving, are you? Like I could throw on a Harry Potter for Thanksgiving.
And I think it's appropriate. I mean, in my day, some of those films did come out like right around Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I think the 1st
Mhm.
one actually was right at Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
I mean, maybe. And honestly, I mean, there's so much feasting that happens. So yeah, like, and it's also, I mean, it's a UK film. Like, it's all based there. So Thanksgiving isn't a thing in the UK. It's just a Thursday to them. So yeah, I'd say it stands. I think, funny enough, it's you kind of flip it. I think the later films are better suited for like Halloween time, and the early,
Hmm.
like the further you go back, the more appropriate they become to like watch around like holidays. Because we even, in the first one, we get some of the time of like Harry spends during the Christmas holiday
Right.
at
That's kind
Hogwarts.
of my justification is that I feel like every movie snows. There's snow in every
Yeah,
movie.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I do.
Which
It.
have you?
Oh,
Sorry, no. Go ahead, Dylan.
part of me feels like you could watch it in like you should watch the first 2 movies around Christmas, and then you wait 10 months and watch
This
the
is an
last
outrage.
6 movies around Halloween, and then you start your rewatch again 6 weeks later to watch the first 2 movies to then wait, because like the last, like the fucking jump from the second movie to, it's like, all right, now Alfonso Cuarón's going to direct Prisoner of Azkaban, and like we're just going to crank it up. My favorite movie probably Prisoner of Azkaban.
It's the best Harry Potter.
But and it's just
I
like
agree.
such a crazy emotional shift. It's nuts.
I do want to go on another tangent. Shout out to my buddy Derek who listens to the pod.
What up, Derek?
Hey,
Hey, Derek.
wizard gun, feasible or not feasible?
Wait, a wizard wielding a gun
With a
or
gun?
a wizard
No,
versus
no.
a gun?
A wizard has his wand, but it's a gun.
Oh,
Like you could still do magic, but you have the gun as
but
a
it's a
backup.
Glock. wait.
Like
Sorry.
like it's basically the wand is like the bayonet on this gun, so it's like has the wooden wad, or you just pull the trigger, or it's just like
That's more
you're like
ridiculous.
Expelliarmus, and just like the thing just like shoots through the nozzle.
No. It's
Do you cock it to the side? Like, how do you?
Oh, you know the Death Eaters are absolutely like
Oh, they're sideways. Yeah, they're irresponsible as hell. Yeah.
so I'm
still
thinking
not
more
clear
of
on
a
the
bayonet.
question. Sorry. What are you
Like
suggesting?
feasible versus not feasible, you know? Like I'm thinking bayonet because it's still a wand. You can still like wave it around and be like, do the spells. But just in case you have a gun,
gotta keep that thing on
In
you.
case shit gets live for real.
But
Yeah.
I feel like guns are useless.
See, you would think, right? But I'm pretty sure people get stabbed in the Harry Potter movies.
People do get stabbed. I mean, there are all sorts of natural beasts and creatures that can like harm you. I think bullets travel faster than like the somatic component of a spell.
Yeah.
So like in the time it takes me to say Expelliar, I'm dead
Yeah. Good point.
because speed of sound.
Yeah.
But some skilled wizards can just like wave and they don't have to say anything.
Oh,
Yeah, and also like if anyone makes any sudden movements, like I think it's a very UK thing because you don't have to worry about that in the UK. It's very much an American thing where you're going to have to worry about someone like whipping a gun out, whereas in the UK,
Yeah.
like unless you're on someone's farm, you're fine. You do have to worry about getting stabbed, but not nowhere near the
So then,
So like
where
in
do the
Ilvermorny, it's a problem.
yeah.
where do the American wizards go, or do Americans not have wizards? Because we have the
we
French
do.
wizards.
We have Ilvermorny.
I don't know what that is.
Am I? Oh gosh.
Is that like way into the? I like the book lore for me. That is like real hard for me to remember any of that. I was like real young reading all that.
You referencing Tumblr again?
me?
Some fanfic.
No, this is a real thing. Ilvermorny is the school for American wizards.
Spell it.
ILVER.
Yeah, it actually seems very easy to spell. It seems very easy to spell.
That was my first step. I want to say this got fleshed out some more. Mind you, I've not seen the Fantastic Beasts movies yet. Get off my back, nerds.
Trust
But-
me, no one gives a shit.
No.
No one cares. About
Nah.
People
People
care.
care. People care.
The circles I'm in, people care.
Yeah, the Harry Potter freaks, the millennials who haven't
Jesus.
covered up their Deathly Hallows tattoo.
I
Yeah.
know so many.
We probably work with so many.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of those triangles on people's fingers. Let's just say.
So again, like not knowing what that was, I would see it on people's cars and tattoos and be like, "Oh, that's kind of weird. I wonder what that is." And then when I found out, I was like, "Those fucking nerds!" Jesus Christ, it's everywhere. What does it even mean? Like, what does it even mean? Like, are you signifying something? I thought it just meant like, I thought it was just like a charm, or not a charm, but like a. I don't think it was like anything
It's
crazy.
three
At least not in the movie.
different
I'm not
things
gonna read the books.
without. It's 3 different items.
No, I know what the items are. I'm just
Oh.
saying, like, what's the point of
He
showing
saw the last
symbol?
movie after all.
True. I'll let Vaughn's going to explain it better than I can.
For
If you
the
want to talk
record,
about
I'm
though,
it.
not, because I'm new. I'm still new to that part of the
I did
lore.
go back and watch all of them. Okay, I did.
Yeah.
I did go back. I own the Blu-ray. Going back to digital media, I do own the 9-10 film Blu-ray collection. But I
I
just
think
don't
it's
know
just like
what the point of.
you got all the powerful stuff. It's like Infinity
Yeah.
Stones, I think, in a way. Someone let us know, or don't. Whatever you want.
Vaughn, our
But yeah,
resident,
I mean, with that
Harry Potter
though,
head.
I do think American Wizards are going to have to worry more about that. Yeah, that's probably like an issue.
but then you just cast a charm or something
Yeah.
that will auto block.
I mean, yeah, they got to have
comes
like
your way.
bulletproof vest charms. You know?
Bulletproof
Like,
robes.
yeah. Like the John Wick
Yeah.
style, just like the.
Yeah. Gosh, John Wick is so good.
Anything to not have to talk about the movie. Let's just keep this going.
Well, honestly, that was the last bit of news we had, y'all. Which brings us to movie of the week, Kinds of Kindness. All right, real quick, let me run down some things. Kinds of Kindness has quite a cast, so I'm just going to run down some of the heavier hitters, some of the bigger players there. We had Emma Stone, Jesse Plemons, Willem Dafoe, Hong Chow, Joe Alwyn, Mamadou, is it Athi? I'm going to take a stab and say Athi. And did I miss anybody?
Margaret Qualley.
Oh, Margaret Qualley. I had scrolled down to make sure I didn't miss Mamadou, and then I missed Margaret Qualley. Sorry. And this is, of course, from the mind, and I'll dare say, obviously, from the mind of Yorgos Lanthamos. Gentlemen, non-spoiler thoughts about this film. Who wants to start?
If you don't... No, yeah, you go.
It was hard to get my thoughts together, but I understand the title. I'm going to leave it there. I understand the title.
Is that a spoiler reason on why you understand the title?
Kind of.
Okay.
This is just like
to go into spoilers to explain it.
In just like the most basic level, and that's where you kind of have to start. In the most basic level, I understand the title. That's as much as I could say without like just kind of rambling, because I've been trying to just in my head think about this movie and think about what's going on and how I should feel after, or if I should feel anything. It's tough. I mean, I'm even having trouble. I mean, I kind of have trouble speaking, but I have trouble getting my thoughts for this particular thing just out. And I think I would hope that you guys have similar problems. Difficulties.
I'll jump in. Yeah. And I'll say a couple things. One, I don't get the title, so I really do need help with how we just... I'd love to hear your take. The second thing is I often think about this podcast, mostly because I'm often watching movies or like, and you know, I like y'all and we're friends, and you know, this is a fun venture for us. And so I'm always thinking also of, I'm also thinking of like the gimmicky things, like, okay, if we're the after school cinema club, like what school related faculty, whatever things puns can I pull in? And for this, I still don't have a clean way to describe it, but I would absolutely, I feel like I need to file for like a student exchange. Like, how do I get this student out of my class? I don't think I'm the right teacher for this student. And I'm not saying that like the student is the problem, because I do think, you know, all students are important and beautiful, and like we should be cultivating creativity in their minds. I don't feel well equipped to support this student, which is to say, I really like Yorgos's. I really liked The Favorite. I I watched Poor Things. It was cool. There were some slight problems I took with some of the just some of the premise of Poor Things, which at this point I'm gonna have to do some light spoilers for Poor Things, but it's the idea that there's a child's brain, a baby's brain, and it is developing in a grown woman's body, is kind of what we're seeing play out in Poor Things. The other thing that I really had to hold on to watching this movie was the idea that art, even good art, starts a conversation and makes you feel something. And in that regard, this film succeeded
Wholeheartedly.
My question, and I do want to like maybe we'll talk about it and then circle back and talk some more and circle back again. At what cost? At what cost are we feeling something? Which is maybe obviously to say that I did not have the best of times, and not in a Civil War, like, because Civil War was a tough watch at some points for me. But I mean, we talked through it, and a lot of it was just like it was so visceral. But I felt like, oh man, like this is incredible. I will never watch this again. I kind of want my time back from this film.
Damn.
That's a hot take, dude. I think this must have been an offline conversation, but I don't think I've ever like walked out of a movie or felt that way. Like I've seen something and been like, well, that was something. Like I think Dylan, we saw Beau is Afraid, and dog shit. I will stay on the record, dog
I'm
shit.
glad I saw the movie.
But I'm glad I saw it with Dylan.
Yeah.
I'm glad I saw it with Jared. Shout out to Jared.
Shout out Jared.
And
and
Jared.
Yeah, and Davina.
And Davina.
So, I mean,
I'll
I'm
hear
glad I
about
had
that.
that experience, and I've always find the experience enjoyable, but I've never been so, like, I guess, insulted at a movie to be like, fuck that, you know?
Rise of Skywalker.
You wanted to, or you did?
I have never. No, I have never.
No, I meant for Dylan, because you mentioned
Oh.
Rise of Skywalker. Did you walk out, or did you just wanted to?
I wanted to. Part of the reason why I didn't is I saw it at AMC Uptown, which Vaughn and a handful of people that are in the DC area will know. But like, it's like an old school theater, so it's not like it wasn't like plush seats. Like, I was like dead center, like perfect seats. It was just to give a little bit
I
of
saw
like
Alien versus Predator there. I think that might be the last film I saw at that theater.
I saw Joker and and Star Wars there. My dad and I have seen every Star Wars that I've been alive for on premiere night together, from Phantom Menace all the way up. And so my dad literally drove down from Connecticut to DC to watch this. So there's like another reason why I didn't. But I fucking hate that movie. Like, I really, really do not like that movie, like, to my core. And honestly, like, that kind of just like almost killed my interest in Star Wars, that movie.
Somehow Palpatine returned. Though.
Yes. The dead speak. From the fucking first second, I knew I was in trouble. Yeah. Anyways, Oh, what's up? You go.
Yeah.
I had that feeling watching this movie.
Yeah.
I did not. It mostly, honestly, I want to say mostly because of us, like because of this pod. I wanted to be able to speak to the film in its entirety.
Yeah, I mean, so one thing is, I didn't know that the movie was like 2.5 hours long, almost 3 hours long.
It's
like
2:45, dog.
Yeah, it's long. And the thing that I kind of realized where it was long was like, so I went and saw it at Alamo. It was like one of the first time in months I did Alamo.
Shout out Alamo.
And
Sony Pictures presents Alamo.
Yeah. And for anyone who's been to Alamo, you know that like, okay, we're starting to get there when they like bring the checks out. That's when you know that like, okay, there's really not that much time left in this movie. And like midway through, and this movie is slow paced, and I don't usually mind slow paced movies, but this is like a brutally slow movie. Like, for those that might think that like Killers of the Flower Moon is slow or Dune is slow, like people that might think those movies are slow, not even close. Literally not even close.
Now, Dylan, we got so far. I thought in the back of my head, this might be the episode we don't mention Dune.
Oh, I mentioned Dune earlier in the episode. I mentioned Dune earlier in the episode.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, you did. And I was trying to make a conscientious decision not to mention Fast and Furious.
Yeah, well, we do need to be better about that. But I think in this area it makes sense because the main complaint that people have, I think, with the first Dune is that it's slow. So in that, like, I'm just bringing it up in that sense. Like, I'm just bringing up critique. And this is so much slower than that. Like, so much slower than that. And I remember, like, one of the very few, like, I turned to Davina and I, like, just, like, pointed at the watch because I wasn't wearing my watch, and she was like, it's been 2 hours and we haven't gotten the check yet. And I was like, oh my God, how long is this movie? And like Alamo has like the little papers that you write on. So I was like, what's the runtime? I was like, what's the runtime? Because my phone was dead too. I was like a mess. And so it's like the first time in public my phone's ever died. But like, so she was like, yeah, it's like 2 hours, like 2:45. And without really saying anything else more, the description on Wikipedia is an absurdist black comedy anthology film. That is what this movie is. Is it awful? No. Are all of the performances... You very rarely are going to see Vaughn go in on a movie, so I can't wait for the spoiler section. All of the performances, I would say, are very good. There are parts of it where I laughed. Nowhere near enough times for how long the movie is. It is either it should have been 3 different movies, or
spoilers.
It's an anthology. That's the one thing I'll say. It's an anthology. It could have either been shorter and cut some of the anthology parts shorter, or it should have been like a mini series. But the way that it was put together in this way, just for me, did not work. That being said, I appreciate a director taking a swing. We can talk about it more in the spoilers.
I do appreciate that we're gonna talk about something that we all didn't enjoy.
Because I think it's really easy to just like for us to be like, yeah, I never want to talk about this thing again. But I feel like we're gonna have a lengthy discussion about this, which I think speaks to some of the interesting parts about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shocked.
Right, I'll open. Full spoilers from here to the end of the pod.
Alarm sound. Mm-hmm. We're in spoiler territory.
So, hey, 3 movies, 3 separate stories. Each one of them has a form of kindness in the movie, and so the movie is called Kinds of Kindness, and all 3 of them have a particular version of it. And I'm sure I could take more time to really, if I had to write an essay, I would take my time to research this essay, and dare I say, watch the movie again to like understand it. But I would watch the anthologies as a whole, because each separate anthology is honestly not bad. It's really not bad watching each separate film. My favorite is the second film. Like I think it's like RBF goes flying or something. But in the first movie, the kindness is I forget what the kindness was. Well, in the second movie,
like forgiveness. I don't know.
What the fuck was the first movie again? Oh, yeah, no. So no. So in the first movie, Jesse Plemons is like kind of an indentured servant to fucking Green Goblin. Willem Dafoe, thank you. So when Hema saw him on screen, she was like, "Oh my god, it's Green Goblin!" And I'm like, "Yeah, that guy's pretty cool." And I loved his performance in
The
all three of
hardest
the
working
films.
actor of this generation.
He's Green Goblin.
He's Green Goblin. He's also in like 45 movies a year. He's also in like,
I'm something of a doctor myself. No, something of a scientist myself.
Dude, his performance and anyway. Anyway, so Jesse Plemons is like this guy's servant, and like and he gets fed up to the point where he like breaks away from it and then realizes how much his life depends on him, to the point where he goes and again, we're in spoiler territory, where he goes and kills this one guy that he wants dead. And he does it in such like a kind of hilariously brutal way. But then, at the end of it, they make up, and then I assume they make up, and they kind of are back on good terms. But that kindness in himself to do this thing for this guy, even though he doesn't want to, is like the first kind, right? And then the second kindness was like servitude, because Emma Stone's like body snatcher doppelganger shows up, clearly not the same woman, but is trying so hard to like fit in and to serve Jesse Plemons, to the point where she'll like kill herself. Like she mutilates herself and then kills herself to appease Jesse Plemons, because she so desperately needs to fit in. So that's like the second form of kindness. And then the third form of kindness in the third movie is similar to the first one, where Emma Stone is kicked out of this sex cult and wants to win the good graces of the sex cult. So she goes out of her way to follow this lead, to find this woman, to then hopefully bring her back. I mean, that one doesn't end up as well. Yeah, she ends up dying, but the thought of kindness was still there. If the movie ended when the credits rolled and she was doing that like funny little dance that was in like the trailer, and like the lights turned on and everybody left, I think that would have been a solid kind of like, hey, kindness 1, kindness 2, kindness 3. This movie is called Kinds of Kindness. If it was a show or a miniseries called Kinds of Kindness, and maybe there was like, actually no, just 3. I was thinking 5. Nah, just 3. It's good. But that's again my very base level interpretation of this movie. Each one of those has a kindness, or like something kind, that someone does to somebody else, that I guess, sometimes you find the story in the editing. I feel like sometimes he found the title in the editing. He shot these 3 things. I don't know if there was necessarily any sort of, I mean, again, there probably was this overarching story or overarching reason to why he shot these things and why he made it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only kind of justification that I can give it.
So, looking into it, the title was originally called RMF.
Yeah,
Later, it was switched to and then in December 2023, it changed to Kinds of Kindness. Now, Kinds of Kindness still potentially could have been like the lens he was writing from, or like whatever. But I thought that was just kind of interesting. Those are 3 very different names. Yeah, this is peak film school brain. What we're watching from you right now. This is like, that is fantastic. I don't see that until you said it, and I guess I can kind of understand it. And Vaughn's face this is fantastic. I really wish I took a screenshot of that.
I'm sure you can grab a frame from. Yeah.
A very basic interpretation of what the movie's called, and what a basic interpretation of what it is. Again, I now I kind of want to go watch it again, but I'm not going to pay for it again. Yeah, I'll give it that. What was the price of this movie? This price was what, $25 plus popcorn and an icy.
So $75.
Do you not have a movie theater subscription thing yet?
Don't roast me, but I have a Cinemark one.
Yeah, I know you have, but did you not see this at Cinemark?
Yeah, I always watch them at Cinemark.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought you because you bought the ticket. That's what I was.
Well, so it's $10, so it's like the cheapest of any of the movies, of the movie like subscription things. You get 1 free ticket a month and 20% off concessions. You also get no online fees.
That's
a lot of those fees are kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, the concessions thing kind of has me like interested because
that's
I will always go to concessions.
I spend so much money at AMC concessions. It
Mm-hmm.
is ridiculous. I feel gross taking stuff in. I don't morally. I do not get behind bringing stuff into a theater. It's not. It's just too much Catholic shame.
When we saw Kung Fu Panda, we brought Panda Express. Thought it was fitting.
It's only right.
It seems problematic.
No, please.
I'm really complicated thoughts about this movie because there's a world where all of this is really good. Not just a lot of it just didn't work for me. Like so much of it didn't work for me at first, and like it's one of those things of like when you watch it and you're like, oh, I'm seeing something like artsy. Like you can tell really early on, but like it was so slow, and there were parts that were funny, like the fucking. And I thought this was gonna come, but like in the second movie, when it fucking cuts to this, them watching this like the fucking sex tape, I cracked up. That shit was so funny. Like it was, it was so, and they stayed on a little too long too, which like made it even better. It was so shocking. But like it's what like there'd be little one-offs like that in an otherwise incredibly long movie, and just a lot of it then at that point just like didn't land. So it's like I would just wish either a lot of it then kind of got like cut up because I understood how weird the worlds were, except for the middle one. The middle one was honestly pretty solid for the most part. Like middle one I think worked, but the first one I just think went on too long. And then by the end of it for the third, I was just like, I personally too, I felt lied to based on the trailer. The trailer was so fast paced. The trailer was so exciting. And I'm all for like subversion, but this felt different. This felt like I'm showing you an incredibly fast paced short trailer, like cut up super quickly. And this is actually one of probably like one of the slowest paced movies I've ever seen.
I think the trailer was. I think the trailer was meant for that subversion factor though, because I only saw the trailers that you sent in the chat, and I think we mentioned it leading up to this movie. It's like I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea what's going on, and I'm like, yeah, I have no idea what's going on. And then going into it, having no idea what's going on. I did read the description on like the Cinemark app, and it was a picture of Jesse Plemons, and he was like, when a guy gets down on his luck and wants to recapture his life, or like retake control of his life, something like that. That's all I read, or that's all I really remember. And I was like, okay,
I have
maybe
it pulled up on IMDb here. It says a man seeks to break free from his predetermined path. A cop questions his wife's demeanor after her return from a supposed drowning, and a woman searches for an extraordinary individual prophesied to become a renowned spiritual guide.
Yeah, I mean that's the movie.
I didn't read the description of the last two. I only read like that first blurb of the first one, and I was like, okay, great. Maybe this entire movie is this because, hey, I'm actually on board with this premise because I had, going back into spoilers, when Jesse Plemons starts catching on that he's been replaced by Emma Stone, I was like, oh shit, is he gonna like have a Matrix moment where he's gonna like wake her up and then they're gonna do something against Willem Dafoe? That didn't happen. And then the movie ended and the credits rolled, and I was like, wait, that was a short movie. But the lights didn't turn on. And then it rolled into the second one. And I think halfway through the second one, like Emma pulls out her phone and she's like, this is a 3-hour movie? That's why I know it's 2:45 because she showed me her phone. And that's where I started feeling the second one really slow, and then kind of enjoyed it at the end because I liked that little montage, except for the dog who hung himself, but the dog's driving.
That was fucking funny.
The dog killing himself?
Yeah,
wow,
that shit.
canceled.
That I fucking cracked up, and I love dogs. Yes, that was funny. Watching dogs be humans was funny.
Watching dogs be human was funny, except for the one where he killed himself. You're laughing.
Nods. I am not, because it was funny.
You're laughing. A dog ended his life, and you're laughing?
Yes. And I will continue laughing. That was fucking funny. Vaughn is so mad that we're saying anything positive about this movie.
And no, it's fine. I honestly, and
I want to hear
I
your
can
hot
concede. I can concede that like a lot. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. Like I should say I understand a lot of what you're saying. I'm also trying to choose my words very carefully as a person who's in the industry and wants to continue to be in the industry and succeed in the industry.
Authenticity is expensive.
Do we need to get an interpreter for you, like Obama's
No,
interpreter?
fuck it. It's fine. This Yorgos Lanthamos is a very irresponsible individual, and that has been clear since Poor Things and has become even more clear in this film or this collection, this anthology.
I'm curious why you think those two are related. Sorry for cutting you off. You go. You just go.
Because
Just go
Poor
from the hip. Yeah,
Things-
go from the hip.
Poor Things is a film where he, like, with the premise of a woman, a child's brain in a woman's body. We then have to question, and we kind of talked about it during the Oscars run and of everything, but you have to question like the morality of these men that are around this woman, and through her lens, we are made to believe that it's all okay because we're seeing Emma Stone, and like we know according to the story, she's even by the time she leaves and goes off to wherever like Paris or whatever, she goes on that trip with Mark Ruffalo's character. And they're having sex all the time because we're watching two adult bodies have sex. We kind of like hand wave it, but ultimately we're watching someone underage have sex with somebody or like of age,
significantly older. Yeah,
and I think for enough people, it did cause some questions or concerns. That part really, really upset me watching it, and then by the time we get to this film, we have depictions of trigger warning. But again, if you made it to the spoilers part, you probably already have seen the film. But we have instances of rape. We have insensitive handling of miscarriages. We have intentional abortion. There's so much that is just handled so poorly. And I can't separate the fact that yes, he's European, but also this is a man who has these takes on like the woman body and the female form, and it's difficult when he already is like he's on the rise, right? So he's got this platform. The Oscars have been coming in. He also has this A-list actor in Emma Stone wildly supporting him, backing him up, seemingly like she just wants to do weird artsy stuff because she's got the Oscars and whatever. But to have that cosign and to have all these people like to produce this work is wildly irresponsible. I think it should have wound up on streaming as three separate things, and the RMF tag or like tie-in to bring them all together kind of works, but I'd rather see that as like an afterward, after the third episode, or after, if you make it a 5-episode thing, whatever. But I think the only reason it wasn't is because there is still, even though work has been drying up in Hollywood for some while, there is still the money attached and the acclaim attached to being a film director, not a TV director. And so with Yorgos,
especially for a European,
right?
Especially
so he can maintain that that clout and that status by having this come out in theaters when it really should have been on somebody's streaming platform, probably Tubi. But
God damn.
The people who and I will say this positive about the film. Everybody like each of the films, like each part of the anthology, super stylized, and I love that all the actors were rising to that stylized kind of aesthetic.
Performances were so good.
Performances were incredible. All the issues I take are with the script and the director. I think it's so irresponsible, and I don't think it was well. I think it's, and this is why I was trying to find that lens, as I mentioned in the non-spoiler section of maybe this student should be in my class, or I don't think I'm well equipped enough to foster and support this art. And I'm not saying it should not exist. I am saying, and I will stand behind, it is wildly irresponsible. And ultimately, we've got how many films of Yorgos Lanthamos writing women, a man. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't have the lens or the sensitivity to the lens, and he does have Emma Stone's backing, but I think she just wants to do weird shit. And mission accomplished, but at what cost? If good art is supposed to make you feel something, mission accomplished, but at what cost? And am I going to really be able to hear your message through all the bullshit you put in front of it? For me, no. And I did want to walk out actively, but I stayed because, again, the pod. And I also have this like weird completionist thing in my brain where I can't not know. Like my curiosity is just too strong. So I have to see how it lands, even if it's going to crash and burn for me.
Two things real quick. One, don't do that for us. As like if it really is putting you in an unfortunate position, because it will be just as interesting if you're like, oh, I had to walk out from a content standpoint. It's going to just, that's the one thing. If you want to do the completionist thing, that's you. But like from your mental health standpoint, please, I don't want you doing that for the sake of the pod, because you walking out, honestly, from a content standpoint would be even more shocking, I think. Personally, that's just my opinion. Yeah, keep going though. My bad.
No, you said two things. You had another?
No, it was really just like those two sentiments of of that piece. I do have like rebuttals to what you said and stuff, but I wanted you to kind of finish.
That's honestly the bulk of it. It feels irresponsible, and it feels like people are going to hand wave it as artsy because of his acclaim. But I just think it was irresponsible.
Kind of want to be Switzerland. I feel.
You also haven't seen Poor Things.
Yes, yeah. Hey, thanks for outing me. I haven't seen Poor Things. I was gonna out myself, but thank you. You ruined my outing moment. That's fine.
Happy Pride, y'all.
But yes, I'm gonna stay neutral. I agree with a lot with a lot. That
don't
Vaughn
feel
was
like you
saying.
have to.
No. Again, my vision for the pod was to just analyze these films, and analyze the media, and not necessarily, again, ranking it, not necessarily having like positive or negative ideas, just like expressing what we thought about it, and then maybe, again, very film school brain, very just like analytical, very breaking it down. And so that's part of the reason why I stuck through, because while I did say that I've never like walked away from a movie, I did also feel like walking away from this one just because it was 3 hours long.
That's fucking
and
long.
Like near the end of the second one, I was like, all right, man, like, the last one has to be good. And the last one was good, and the last one I kind of liked it. I stayed through it, but
I cracked up at the end. Yeah.
Again, I hear everything you're saying, Vaughn. I would love to see what Dylan's counter is, but as of right now, I'm neutral and I'm just analyzing the movie.
Like, okay, I'll say this to get into some specifics. We like in part 3, right, where we have the weird cult, which a thing that I did enjoy, and I hate that there was something I really did enjoy from the. I did enjoy that, like I clocked that something was off with the two characters, like that when we meet them in the morgue. I clocked that it was off, that they were both wearing weird sandals, and then of course we get to the cult and everybody's got these weird sandals, and I was like, I knew it. I fucking
throwing a fucking fit, man. That was such a great outfit.
Sucks at sandals, bro.
The sandals, no, but like the wide cut, like it's you. Sometimes when you wear like big oversized clothes like that, you can look real fucking goofy, and I don't think he did. I thought he nailed it.
He looked fly.
Yeah.
But I think so. In that moment where, she finds her way, I guess Emily finds her way back to her husband, and he drugs her and has his way with her, and we see that like basically that leads to her being kicked out of the cult because she's contaminated, and there's the weird water thing and all that stuff. There are other ways to convey that like she's like unclean, and maybe it can just be like a weird cult thing where like for whatever reason maybe she did accidentally eat fish, because that was the thing that they mentioned. Maybe like she like they try to reconcile. He has her over for dinner, and she's like, what's in this soup? And it's like a miso paste, or like it's like there's so many other ways you can be creative and not have to be so grotesque with why she's now contaminated, because that is just furthering the point and furthering any idea that any person who has been taken advantage of, who might think to blame themselves, that is just more reason to do such a thing. And maybe I'm harboring on or barking on those smaller points too much, but I do think it's insensitive, and I think it's also something that obviously somebody like a man who likely has never personally encountered or had to contend with that kind of experience, of course they're going to overlook that thing or not consider what else you're saying when you put this as a part of the narrative.
Dare I say, it also wasn't explicitly said that this was bad. I mean, there were consequences, but the guy kind of just like got off relatively scot-free. I mean, yeah, there was that awkward interaction with like the daughter,
I mean,
and
traumatized
she
the
was
fuck out
obviously.
of her daughter.
We never got to see her reaction though. It was just kind of like close up of on her giving the speech or giving her like the talk, and then just kind of, all right, next scene. You know, there are consequences to what happened, but
But
the consequences
no, we
happen
got
to
to go
her.
back.
The consequences happen to her. They don't happen to the man. They happen to her.
And that's my point.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Okay.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Dion?
Hi. So, for those that maybe haven't heard the Poor Things discourse from earlier episodes, I almost walked out of Poor Things. I found that the beginning and middle of Poor Things absolutely disgusting and abhorrent. However, I think by the end of the movie, it really turned itself around, and the reason for me is that it showed you realize these people are villains and it's bad and what they're doing is bad, and I have a hard time. I shouldn't say I don't have a hard time. Just because something happens on screen is not an endorsement. I think it's like very, very, very important to harp on that. And I'm not saying that's what you were saying, but just overall, like, I did not take what the husband was doing or what happened or anything like that as excusing the behavior. To me, that third thing is a tragedy, is that this thing happens to her. She's raped and ostracized, and it makes her so desperate that she like wants the approval of this cult so bad that she does all of these like ridiculously risky things to win over this approval. And look what ends up happening because of it. And to me, that is all very, very tragic. And it, to me, shows her as a victim of this, and not that it doesn't make, like, personally. I don't want every movie to be like this. I don't think every director should do this. I don't think most movies should have this. However, and same thing with Poor Things as well, is where it's like Emma Stone's like a victim, and look how like terrible these men are. Look, yes, we are three men talking about men writing women and like all of that. Like, yes, I understand all of that, and I have no counter to like what anyone else is going to say about that. As the son of a mother and the brother of two sisters. No, I'm kidding. But the nephew to a female aunt. But
Half your friends are Jewish.
I personally, I enjoy dark, morbid things in art. I personally didn't have a problem with a lot of the things that Vanya had a problem with. I can understand if anyone has a problem with it, and especially if that's triggering for anyone, a problem with it. Of course, all of that makes sense. Like, I'm not here to I don't think it's an outrage or anything like that. If you feel that way, I totally can understand it. Like, I don't think that a lot, but to me, I thought it was really powerful. Like, when you see some of like the abortion stuff or like things like that, or like she's like dumping what looks like blood in the like boiling blood or whatever, like shit like that. To me, that was like very much setting the tone of like, yo, these people are fucking crazy. This shit is wild. I personally, for me, the only reason why I think it isn't irresponsible is how passionate Emma Stone is about working with him. And she said this like like Kinds of Kindness was already filmed after Poor Things came out. She had already spoken about Yorgos after this movie had been shot. And if she's still like ride or die for him, something tells me, and granted, maybe not, maybe she's like totally has like huge complicated problems with it. Maybe personally, I don't think so. I don't think she needs this. Like, you know what I mean? She's got multiple Oscars now. Like, she doesn't need to like be with him. She can literally do whatever she wants. But that to me, I don't want to say absolves, because I don't. To me, I think he is right on that line of where it is like, it is uncomfortable. It is wholeheartedly uncomfortable. I think it's okay that it's uncomfortable. And yeah, there's like male gaze stuff, like the shots of like Margaret Qualley in the bathing suit and the camera's just like immediately right behind her. It was like almost like laugh out loud. Honestly, I was most offended by the Kool-Aid comment. That was the thing that legitimately upset me the most, when like the black dude was in the hospital and he's like trying to drink the water. It's like one of the first times we like have a black person in the movie, and I think it's Hong Shao. She's like, "No, honey, that's not Kool-Aid. It's water," or something like that, or like it's. Yeah. I was just like, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, are you kidding? Like, that was one of the few times I was like, oh, this is a Central European character writing black people. That was like one of the like few times where I was like, that's inexcusable. Because it was that was to me fucking crazy. But
I'll say this though, real quick, just to counter the counter. Emma Stone is not she's not some authority on Fair. Like, she is a woman, but she's not some authority on womanhood. So like women. Her co-signing him doesn't like to your point, like doesn't absolve him.
Yeah.
And I don't think it provides any amount of excuse. If there were, I don't know, if there was somebody who was known for actively working towards like women's rights and so on and so forth, and like maybe I would consider it, but it's in the same vein that like I think these are wildly different. So just kind of rock with me for a second. It's just my first example. When Omarosa and Ben Carson and Herman Cain and all these other who was it, Diamond and whoever else, like all these black people were
Diamond and Silk,
thank you, were like caping for Trump.
Yeah.
Well, y'all was never really down for the cause. Candace Owens.
Yeah.
We weren't considering what y'all had to say about the black experience in the first place.
Yeah.
Yes, you are black, but like that doesn't mean anything that you agree with or anything you co-sign is then like for the culture. In a similar way that I don't think this woman like riding with this man who is irresponsible with how he writes women and how he writes the experiences of women, I don't think her cosign excuses any of that bullshit.
Yeah, I get you. I guess just for me, I personally, in my heart of hearts, I don't find it irresponsible. I understand why anyone can feel that way. Like, this isn't like, I don't think it's crazy to think that, but it's just not how I see it. I think it's super complicated, but I think that it's clear that these people aren't good people and that what's happening to them is not good. And it's okay that bad things are happening on screen. It's okay that a dog is getting hung. That shit's fucking funny to me. And I understand that like the levels of severity here are very different.
But you are the closest proximity to whiteness on this podcast, so if you said it, then I guess it's cool.
Dylan speaks for all white people,
and we know white people love dogs more than they care about people of color.
Certainly. Certainly.
Was this the episode where I got radicalized? Is this where we got Black Panther Vaughn and not in the way you think?
I am a revolutionary. Von Hampton Jr.
Listen.
I don't know if irresponsible is necessarily the right word, because I still side
I can confirm that it is, but keep going.
I mean, I still side with you, you know, as much as neutral I wanted to say. I don't think
you're prude. I'll turn on you right now. I'll launch those nukes straight at Switzerland. I don't care.
But the banks.
Yeah, those banks
Our
are built
money.
with Nazi gold, and we don't talk about that.
Go ahead, Switzerland. Sorry.
Anyways,
Well, another white man shooting down my opinion. It's okay.
With nukes, no less.
With nukes.
I guess it's a bad time to try to play the Christian Middle Eastern card, huh? Which is about the whitest Middle Eastern I can possibly be.
I just align more with Vaughn than I do with Dylan, for the record.
And I'll say this because you did I want to say outed yourself, Dylan, but like just in terms of posturing, it's probably no secret, especially if people have been rocking with us since episode 1. As much as you go for like the dark, the morbid, and like that stuff is intriguing to you. Like some of the films that we saw so far that like I love the most were like Inside Out, Kung Fu Panda. Like I can admit that like I am on that side of the spectrum of like content and art. So I use that as a filter for folks who maybe that wasn't as clear for as well.
Yeah.
Like everything's not for everybody. This just really wasn't for me. I didn't think I was going to say as much as I did. I don't know that I have much more to say from here, but I
mean, we can continue just like
watch.
breaking down those points, Vaughn. And again, going back to my neutrality to this, I can see why some of Dylan's picks are funny, and I can see why some of your picks are like make sense. And so I'd like to think that I can reach across the aisle for both of you guys and have both of your just like ideas or ideals in mind when it comes to breaking any of this down. But at the same time, like you do bring up, I think you have brought up the biggest point in all of this. And I don't know if Dylan necessarily countered all of those points to the point where I switch sides or lean a bit more neutral. If we had to say whether or not we enjoyed our time, again, I think I enjoyed my time. I think it was worth it, if that makes any sense. I like that we're having the conversation, and it definitely makes me want to go into the mood of like analyzing the fuck out of it and what does everything mean and where does everything go and how I can better appreciate it. It makes me do that more than like Beau is Afraid, and I think that's a compliment because Beau is Afraid similarly is about 3 narratives, but somehow like just get lost in translation.
It just falls apart.
Yeah.
So the first half of Beau is Afraid, though, is better than any part of this movie.
The first 2/3 of Beau is Afraid is amazing.
Yeah. Then he runs through the moment he runs through that glass door.
Honestly, the moment in the play is pretty good too. We're not talking about Beau is Afraid though.
Yeah.
We're talking about Kinds of Kindness. And again, that I understand the title. I understand Vaughn's emotions. I don't know.
I guess for me is like I totally understand Vaughn's point. Like this isn't. There's some times where I might get like I'm not like F1 mad, so where I was just like unreasonably angry. Like you know what I mean? Where like sometimes I legitimately like can't understand something. I don't agree with Vaughn, but it's like a thing of like it's just not how I see it. Like that is just not like, and I totally understand that. I can totally understand those viewpoints, but like. No, I don't think it's irresponsible, and this is why I think it's responsible. But like, I
don't think responsible is the right word either.
I wouldn't say. Yeah, sure. I shouldn't say it's responsible. That's fair. Yeah, I just don't think it's irresponsible.
I don't. I understand Vaughn's point, but I don't think irresponsible is the right word. I think I get.
What would you use?
No, I'm kidding.
Like I'll concede that point. but it's just he does have, some would say, like a moral obligation, or because he has this platform, he does have a bit of an obligation to maybe quote unquote do the right thing. But to say it's irresponsible, I feel like maybe
Is careless a better word?
there we go. Yeah.
Negligent.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, see, thank you.
Man, Ron, I've never seen you this bummed out, man. This stinks.
And it's fine. I can say, for the first time in a long time, this has caused me to maybe second guess the next project of a person's that I go into. Like, for the next Yorgos Lanthamos project, I'm for sure gonna do way more research before I consider it. And not even wait a little, because I do think it's important for it's just been ingrained in me so much, the opening box office and support a thing early that you believe in. And I'm just gonna have to do my due diligence. Like this one, I also, between the first and second, when the credits started rolling, I was like, wait, how long is this movie? I don't watch trailers a bunch. I don't really read synopses a bunch. I just kind of go in and, often it's Jose's like, this is the movie we're watching, or Dylan's like, this is the movie we're watching this week. I'm like, great, let me get my ticket and I'll be ready to chat about it on recording day. But if the next thing is also Yorgos Lanthamos, I'm going to have to do a little bit of research. And I might, another part of me is because I know as we were planning this, looking at our schedule for movies to review or to catch, there was an option between this one and another one. I kind of wish we had picked the other one.
I feel bad. I feel real bad.
But I also knew
fought for this movie.
But at the same time, I also knew I would have wanted to see this movie.
I did.
Get in chat.
I fought for this movie. I will own that.
And there's a trend of movies that have caused me to respond in such a way. And who picked it? That's all I'm gonna say.
Yep. I'm gonna sit in the back for the next probably 18 months here. Whatever y'all want to watch.
Hey, fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 3 times,
fool me thrice.
Can't fool me again.
And I would say, ironically enough, Civil War is maybe one of them. That's one of the best movie experiences that I've had. I loved that movie, and I was sitting next to Vaughn and saw what that movie did to him, and I felt fucking awful. It was the most complex set of feelings I had, where I was like, "This is amazing. This is awful." Trying to just the amount of
your brain's
disassociation. And then part of it was like, oh my god, look how it's impacting him. That's crazy, and shows how crazy and awesome this is. But this is one of my closest friends who's really going through it right now.
Didn't you choose Love Lies Bleeding too?
I thought that was going to be really good, and good thing we didn't see Horizon either, which apparently isn't that great. Which I also want to see, but maybe we don't. I think that's that's something I will definitely see outside of the pod. I'm not going to suggest it because I can't. So whatever y'all want to see for next episode and the next 75 episodes, let me know. I will be there.
Well done on the math, by the way. The 75 episodes does come out to 18 months.
Speaking of, how many movies do you think Willem Dafoe has been in? I was pulled this up on IMDb.
Total?
Yeah.
I'm going to say 169.
In my eyes, he's been in one, and that's Spider-Man.
So according,
I'm gonna say one. I'm gonna say 220.
According to IMDb, he has been in 157 movies in 44 years as an actor.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
Wait, 157? You said in 44 years?
Yeah. He has 157 credits, so like I don't know like, but
Like as an well,
As-
You said he
as
was
an
the hardest
actor,
working. I expected more.
um
Jesus.
I see 157 divided by 44. That is 3.5 projects a year.
That doesn't feel real.
But when you look at his IMDb, I mean, like, yeah, you see like 2014, 2014, 2014, 2014, 2013, 2013, 2013, 2013. Like, he's working more the older he gets.
He had 5 films in 2017 alone.
Yeah. He had 7
He did
films
6
in
films
2013. Or, sorry, 2023.
and 6 in 2016. Like, how?
That's insane. And they're not all like massive roles. Like some of them are like relatively smaller parts, but that is insane dedication.
What if he's in his Nicolas Cage era and he has a huge gambling problem? America has a gambling problem, dude. Shout outs to DraftKings, our first sponsor.
Stupid.
He's 68. He's only 68. He theoretically could do this for like another 20 years. He could have 300 acting credits.
Yeah, this is nuts.
Do you want to rate it? I have a hard time rating it. I have a hard time rating all of these movies.
Yeah, my rating is request for transfer.
Yeah, for me, this is an incomplete. This is an incomplete. I need you to come back. We're gonna have to do some rewriting. But
Yeah. And for the rest of the semester, I need your parents to sign your homework before you turn it in.
I need Mr. Amazon to give these the sign-offs before.
I don't want to rate it. I don't know. It's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not
It's
a bad
bad.
movie.
It's not a bad movie. No.
And it is.
Yet it is.
That's the thing.
That's like it's sitting and looking at it too. So like it's sitting on
It's 70 something, right? Around
yeah. 70 something Rotten Tomatoes,
got a 7 out of
64 on
10 on-
Metacritic. Audience score is 58. A 58 audience score, which also granted, like people that are going to see a Yorgos movie in like the first week, you know, it's a very particular crowd. So I'm not like surprised, I guess, but I think
Who
that
else
just
is gonna
goes to
watch this,
show.
though?
Yeah, I hear you. Absolutely. Yeah. I like it's not like I'm like, oh my god, it's like awful, or like it's just, oh, it's slow, or like it's like none of it really worked, but it's not like, I don't know. I disliked Love Lives Bleeding more than I disliked this. That being said, I would probably watch Love Lies Bleeding way before and way more times before I ever rewatch this movie again. I don't know if I'll ever rewatch
I will
this movie
never
again.
rewatch this movie.
But I will think about this movie a hell of a lot more than I'll think about Love Lies Bleeding.
I think once we're done with this, I'm not going to think about this movie. I still think about Beau is Afraid sometimes. I'd be driving and I'd be like, man, fuck that movie.
You're probably
Let me
going to
analyze
think
this
about
more.
this. You're probably going to think about this then.
No,
you
because
know what I mean?
Dare I say it? I liked it. I really did. For the analytical side of me that like challenges myself.
Switzerland.
Switzerland
Stepped up. Okay.
Look, for literally just for the challenge of trying to appreciate it, I liked it. Just for that alone. It's like it's weird enough. Yeah, there were some bad points. But on the other side, like, oh man, it was pretty enticing. Another hot take here before we wrap up. Poor Things just got bumped up a couple percentages after watching this. I'm not gonna lie.
Like you want Poor Things in
If
what
the
way?
movie
Like
you never
chance
saw?
to watch
The movie-
or like the rating that like
listen on the list. No. On the list of priorities.
I get
On the
you.
list of
Okay,
priorities.
gotcha.
On the list of priorities
Okay.
of like I gotta watch this first, and then I gotta watch this, and then I gotta watch this. Poor Things was sitting pretty low after our initial conversations, but then watching this and seeing how weird it is, and like seeing how like again, literally just want to study it frame by frame, try to appreciate it for myself, and maybe appreciate it for an audience, whether that be a professor in school or like a conversation in the break room or a fucking podcast on the internet. Just having that exist and that challenge of like, oh, maybe I should do this for myself, you know. And knowing that he then went and made Poor Things, that already got kind of like a national stage, a worldwide stage for people to analyze, makes it bump up higher for me, because I'm like, okay, if this is weird and this is how I feel about this, now I got to go back and rewatch this, or like I'll go back and watch this and analyze this and then see where this, like, how did we get to circle it all back before we wrap up. I just saw Deathly Hallows Part 2. Let me go back and watch Deathly Hallows 1 to understand how we got here. Like, let me understand who Yorgos is after I have this perception of him, and let me circle back and see if I could see a lot of those themes in The Favorite and in Poor Things. Because I don't know idea what The Favorite is. No idea what that's about.
Have you seen
And
Killing
Poor
a
Things,
Sacred
I
Deer,
learned-
The Lobster? Any of them?
The Lobster? No.
Lobster was like Colin Farrell's like, oh, he can act. Like his like kind of like comeback into like being a very serious actor. Yeah, he's a weirdo. And I appreciate it personally. I really dig that this was a swing, to be honest. This was a really big swing, and I can respect the hell out of it. Totally understand if Vaughn never wants to watch another one of his movies or will like be very careful before doing it again, but I appreciate it.
And I'm somebody who admittedly probably tolerated Poor Things, but when it came to like voting for things, I knew what the populace was going to go for. I really liked The Favorite, like really liked The Favorite,
And I didn't, which is crazy.
Yeah, I can't make sense of this.
Granted, I didn't watch The Favorite in a theater. I watched it like in back in just DC. It was Davina, my roommate, and myself, and I actually don't even think we finished it.
What?
Yeah, not like I think it was just like really late, and we were just like, oh, we'll finish it, and then we never did. Davina really enjoyed it, and maybe I'll go back and really enjoy it. I love Olivia Colman, and I love Emma Stone. So
Yeah, I think for me, because this is a thought I had in trying to like justify before I knew I was going to go off on that, however long that rant or tangent was. Which thanks for sticking with me there. It's good to be back.
I loved it.
I think there is a certain barrier I need when it comes to realism, and something that we talked about when the trailer for Kinds of Kindness came out was, I was like, oh, I've only ever seen a more stylized or like a weird version of like the world. Like The Favorite is, what is that, like 1800s or whatever, like 17th century. The Poor Things, similar kind of like 1850s kind of era, like Victorian kind of vibe. Here, everything is presumably present day, or maybe like 2 steps into the future, whatever. And because it is so close to reality, the strange things that he presents feel even more strange. Like I can handle, and this is not really a spoiler for Poor Things because it's like the first, or the second scene technically, but when Willem Dafoe's character has a weird like he has a gas bubble thing like while he's eating breakfast, and it just like pops, and it just like, it's a weird thing that happens and they don't talk about it. I'm like, okay, great, I can get behind that because it's 1850s weird world steampunk England. But when you have all these weird things in a thing that could be happening around the corner or down the street from me, it's more unsettling. It's too uncanny.
Maybe in the editing of it, to your point, Vaughn, it could have been framed as a bit more of a horror movie. I don't know. I'm trying to. I keep comparing this movie to Beau is Afraid because, at least in my perspective, from literally just talking to y'all, this seems. I guess there has been a history of Yorgos films, but to me, this seems like the third movie, coming from the guy who has made two really great movies beforehand, who just so happens to be a 3-part anthology type thing. So going back to Ari Aster, like Hereditary, amazing, I loved it. Midsummer, amazing, I loved it. Beau is Afraid, dog shit. So then going
the
into
only word he uses to describe this movie.
Yeah, I've not heard another word.
It's the only thing he said when we walked out of the movie, and like here we are, like a year later, 2 years later, however long it's been, and it's the only word that he will use to describe it.
but
Conviction.
Yeah.
I've heard of The Favorite, and I've heard both of you say good things about The Favorite. Poor things, Oscar nominated film. So I'm like, okay, this is now from my perspective, the third movie from this guy who like has the juice, and then either doesn't deliver or delivers right. Like I don't. Again, I liked it.
This is such a weird journey because I've had pretty much exclusively negative things to say, and I was like, nah, didn't like it. Dylan's had, has had some rebuttals, but had some decent positive things to say, and was like, nah, also didn't like it though. You stayed mostly neutral, gave us the the film analysis at the top, and you're like, and I'm in.
A wrestling heel. Really, we thought he's a special guest referee, and then he just super kicked one of us and just took the pin right at the end and running out of the arena with the belt.
I liked it.
Family.
Yeah.
If I had to,
had to make sure that got in the frame.
Maybe we should record late at night. These are.
You're getting a different version of me. That's all I can say.
This is, I don't know, for the sake of your career, though, maybe we don't do that all this often.
And I mean, I am happy to say these things to Yorgos Lanthamos directly. Like, I'm saying it's bad because of what I would consider irresponsible or careless or negligence. I'm happy to share those sentiments. I'm not like, oh, it was terrible and he doesn't know what he's doing and he's an idiot and all.
He's a hack.
I'm not. It's not criticism or critique without reason.
Yeah,
and I think it is important. It would be irresponsible of me to have those opinions, be able to share a space or share a platform with that person and not share that.
Yeah, I get you.
Well, that's
and
2
for
hours,
that,
boys.
I give it a -10 out of 10. No, I'm kidding.
No, -10 out of 10 means you really liked it.
I know.
It's not a negative movie, though. It's not a negative movie.
I know. I refuse to vote.
Damn.
I am Switzerland.
Incomplete.
Yeah, me too.
Vaughn's the teacher that lost the test.
Lost the test.
So that's exactly what I was thinking. If I was trying to put this into like school terms, I was like, they would have given it to me, and I would have like misplaced it, and I wouldn't have graded it, and whatever grade they had before the final, I would have just posted it.
Yo, thinking about that as an adult, that's like, imagine, that's a totally real thing. You like
in 10th grade, I'm supposed to get a B in English based on like how all my like reports and stuff were. And our teacher, Miss Wembley, was
shout out Wilson,
was not super organized at Wilson, wasn't super organized, and then she left for like the last quarter, and had all of my like the stuff I had turned in with her, And because there was no record, and who are you going to believe, this like 15-year-old or the adult? And because they couldn't track her down, I just like straight up got a C.
Damn.
And English already wasn't my strongest subject. I was very
weird.
upset. Oh yeah, no. I was really, really bad at English.
My junior year after my mom died, I like didn't do any homework in my English class, and my teacher still passed me. We never
Weird.
spoke
Why?
about it or anything. She gave me a passing grade, and then I saw her the next year, and I like ran up to her, and she was just like, "Yeah, just give me $1 million once you graduate. We'll be good." Never talked to her again. Never talked to her again. So I won't say this person's name.
Off the hook.
But thank you so much. This is the first time I've ever told this story, and I'm telling it in a public platform. But thank you. Appreciate it. I think about that a lot. Trust me. I think about that all the time.
Hey, and that's a kind of kindness right there.
How dare you?
Class
Sweet
dismissed.
dreams are
Absolutely dare
made
you.
of these. Show notes. Check them out in the description.